Hi everyone, it's Laura here for Wow Embossing Powder, and in today's video I'm going to share with you how to create a textured glittery background by combining ink blending and heat embossing. I'm starting from a sheet of watercolor cardstock that I die cut to an A2 size with the Mama Elephant Cloud9 dies. This adds these wonky stitches all around the panel, which is going to create a little bit of extra interest. I don't want to ink blend the entire background, so I'm masking the bottom with some purple tape, and then I'm going to take this brick wall stencil by My Favorite Things and secure it over my work surface. I'm going to use the image of a cute mouse which is baking some cupcakes, and I thought that a brick wall stencil type of background was going to be perfect for it. What I'm going to do in order to spice up my background is I'm going to first ink blend it with my Distress Oxides, and I'm using Spun sugar and worn lipstick to create a soft look. And then, because Distress Oxides stay wet for a little bit, I can coat my background with embossing powder and do heat embossing over my ink blended background. I decided to use my Clear Sparkle Embossing Powder by Wow because this will add glitter and texture to the background, which is just perfect for this brick wall type of pattern. So without removing my purple tape so far, I am coating everything with embossing powder, and you can see it sticks perfectly. I'm then going to remove the tape at this point, and then I'm using my dual speed embossing gun to heat set the embossing powder. I'm using the highest heat setting on my heat embossing gun, and I'm applying the heat on the front and on the back of the panel to minimize warping. And here you can see this gorgeous background, super sparkly and super textured, which was really quick and easy to make. Next, I started working on my image, and for today I decided to use the Sweet Shop stamp set by My Favorite Things and my Illustrator markers for my coloring. I'm stamping the image with my Mini Misty on some Nina Solar White 110 pounds cardstock using Spectrum Noir alcohol-proof black ink, and then I could go ahead and start coloring. I'm starting from the fur of the mouse, for which I used BG5, BG2, and then I blended everything out with my colorless blender. I wanted to create a soft look on the mouse, and I am using some warm grays because I feel they make animals look a little bit more alive compared to using cool grays. I wanted to bring in some pinks to match the background that I have on my card, and for that I'm going to use MG4, MG1 and PP1. I am not going to show you the entire coloring process for the image, but I'm going to show you each color combination that I have on today's card so that you can see which colors I used. For the stove, I wanted to use some teal blues and some mint greens. I started by coloring the body with teal blues, and for this color combination I chose BT3, BT5, BT7, and then I'm going to darken everything up with my BT9 marker so that I have some very nice and deep shadows which create contrast and enhance the feeling of dimension in my images. For the parts of the stove that I wanted to look like mint green, I actually started first by adding BT3 and BT1, and I realized that there wasn't enough color variation in my image, so I decided to use the glazing technique with my Illustrator markers and go over those areas with JG3 and JG1, and this gave me the perfect shade of mint for my images. I wanted the inside of the oven to be nice and dark, so for that I'm using BT9 and IG10. I'm making sure to get a nice and smooth blend between the markers, and then I started coloring the items that I wanted to look white, and I shaded them with my IG4 and IG2 markers. For the cupcakes, I used RB4 and RB1, which I also used for the little stool the mouse is standing on, but there I also added a little bit of EB4 to create a little bit of extra dimension. For the inner portion of the mouse here, I'm using a skin tone color combination, which is FS5, FS8 and FS9. And once I was done coloring, I went ahead and cut out my image. Here you can see it, it looks really cute and I loved the way it looks with my glittery background. The next step was to work on my sentiment. I used one of the greetings in the Sweet Shop stamp set by My Favorite Things, and I went for the classic heat embossing with wet embossing powder over some black cardstock. I stamped the sentiment with clear embossing ink by Wow. This is a sticky ink so that when I go ahead and coat everything with my white embossing powder, the powder is going to stick on the areas where I have the sentiment. And again, I'm going to use my Duo Speed Heat tool on the highest heat setting to heat set the embossing powder. I wanted to create a banner for this sentiment, so I'm going to first use the Heffy Doodle More Strips of Ease to cut a banner around it so that I can line it up perfectly and make sure that the sentiment is straight. I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine, and then because I wanted to have that wonky stitched detail also on the banner, what I did is I secured the banner in place on my card background where I wanted it to be on the final project, and then I lined up the Cloud9 die on top of the banner. I lifted everything and then again I ran everything through my die cutting machine, making sure to secure the die in place with some more purple tape. And here is the banner, so you can see I have a continuous stitched detail on my card front. To create a little bit of extra interest, I decided to raise both the banner and the image on some foam tape. And I'm using one layer of foam tape so that I do have some dimension, but the card is not too bulky in the end. I created my card base out of some heavyweight white cardstock that I cut to 4 1/4 by 11 inches and scored at 5 1/2 inches so that I have a top folding card. I adhered everything onto my card base and that finished off my card for today. Here you can see a close-up where I hope you can get a glance of how pretty that glittery background is. As always, glitter is pretty difficult to catch on camera, but I assure you the result is really pretty. And that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I hope I inspired you to create your own textured glittery background by combining ink blending and heat embossing. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more inspiration. Thank you all so much for stopping by and have a great day.